The Sky Citadel of Aethelgard floated above the clouds, a glistening fortress of white marble and gold, suspended by the magic of the Dragon Lords. To be born here was to be a god. To be born without wings, however, was a sin punishable by the drop. Elara stood at the edge of the high platform, the wind whipping her simple gray tunic against her thin frame. She was 20 years old, the age of ascension, and her back was smooth. No scales, no wings, just human skin that shivered in the high-altitude cold. She was a groundling born to skyborn parents, a genetic failure in a society that valued flight above all else. Alpha Lord Draven stood before her. He was magnificent and terrifying, clad in armor forged from fallen stars. His massive obsidian wings were folded against his back, shimmering with veins of lightning. He was the Stormbringer, the strongest dragon shifter in a generation, and, cruelly, he was Elara's fated mate. The bond had snapped into place an hour ago during the inspection. The scent of ozone and rain had overwhelmed them both. But instead of claiming her, instead of wrapping her in his wings and declaring her his queen, Draven had recoiled. "I cannot mate with a clipped bird," Draven said, his voice cold as the upper atmosphere. "The council would revolt. My bloodline must be pure. You are nothing." The rejection hit Elara harder than a physical blow. It tore at her soul, the severed bond bleeding agony into her chest. She looked at the council of elders sitting on their raised dais, their expressions bored. This was routine. Wingless children were disposed of to keep the bloodline strong. "Please," Elara whispered, not for herself, but for the secret she carried. She had sensed the second heartbeat only yesterday. A child. His child. "Draven, there is a reason to let me live. I carry—" "Silence," High Elder Vayne interrupted, standing up. "Do not debase yourself with lies, groundling. You have no magic, you have no wings, you are a drain on the Citadel's resources." Vayne turned to Draven. "Do your duty, Lord Alpha. Dispose of the waste." Draven looked at Elara. For a second, his storm-gray eyes flickered with something like regret. But then he looked at his wings, at the city he ruled, at the power he commanded. He hardened his heart. He grabbed Elara by the arm, dragging her to the edge of the platform. Below them lay the mist, a thick, toxic ocean of purple clouds that separated the floating islands from the ruined surface of the world. The mist was corrosive. It was filled with mistwalkers, mutated monsters that ate anything that fell from the sky. No one survived the drop. "I reject you," Draven whispered, close to her ear so only she could hear. "I reject the bond. You are not my mate. You are a mistake." "You are making the mistake," Elara cried, tears freezing on her cheeks. "You are throwing away your future." "My future is in the sky. Yours is in the grave." He didn't push her. He let go. Gravity claimed her instantly. Elara fell backward, watching the golden city shrink rapidly. She saw Draven standing at the edge, a dark silhouette against the sun, watching her fall until she was swallowed by the purple clouds. The mist hit her like a wall of acid. It burned her skin, choked her lungs. She tumbled through the toxic fog, blindly grasping at the air. The fall should have killed her. The poison should have melted her lungs. But as she fell deeper, something strange happened. The burning stopped. The mist didn't eat her. It embraced her. It wrapped around her like a cool blanket, slowing her descent. Elara gasped, opening her eyes in the gloom. She wasn't dying. The bond, the rejected, bleeding bond, was reacting to the mist. Her dormant magic, suppressed by the pure air of the Citadel, suddenly ignited in the toxic atmosphere. She slammed into a canopy of giant mutated mushrooms, bouncing through layers of fungal webbing before hitting the soft, mossy ground of the surface. She lay there, gasping, waiting for the monsters. She heard them chittering in the dark. Mistwalkers, giant arachnids, shadow wolves, things with too many teeth. And then a massive shadow loomed over her, a beast with glowing red eyes and scales like rusted iron. It sniffed her. It smelled the dragon blood of the alpha who had rejected her. It smelled the child. And then it bowed. Elara didn't know it yet, but the Skyborn had been wrong about everything. The mist wasn't a grave, it was a cocoon, and she was about to become its queen.
Time jump 5 years later. The surface world was a place of bioluminescent beauty and deadly silence. Giant ferns glowed with neon blue sap, and the air hummed with the vibration of insects the size of hawks. Elara moved through the jungle with the silent grace of a predator. She wore armor fashioned from the shed chitin of the mistwalkers and a cloak woven from spider silk. She was no longer the frightened girl who had fallen from the sky. She was the mistwalker. "Zephyr, stay close," she whispered, her voice barely disturbing the air. A small boy dropped from the canopy above, landing lightly beside her. He was 5 years old, with hair like spun silver and eyes that shifted color like a storm cloud. But it was his back that defied all laws of the Sky Citadel. Zephyr didn't just have wings, he had 4 of them. 2 large primary wings of obsidian dragon scale, and 2 smaller, stabilizing wings beneath them, iridescent like a dragonfly's. He was a hybrid, a perfect evolution of dragon and mist. "I hear them, Mama," Zephyr whispered, his ears twitching. "Sky hunters, 3 of them, above the cloud layer." Elara looked up. The purple ceiling of the mist obscured the floating islands, but she could feel the vibration of dragon wings beating the air. The Skyborn came down occasionally to hunt trophies or to harvest rare crystals. They never expected the monsters to fight back. "Are they close to the nest?" Elara asked, her hand resting on the hilt of a bone dagger. "They are tracking a thunder beast. They want its horn." "Let them pass," Elara decided. "We don't engage unless they threaten the family." The family was a pack of 50 outcast monsters, shadow stalkers, venom drakes, and razorbeaks that Elara had tamed. When she first fell, her unique resistance to the mist intrigued them. When she gave birth to Zephyr, a child who radiated alpha energy even as a baby, they had submitted. They were the apex predators of the surface, and they treated Zephyr like a prince. "Mama, when can I fly up there?" Zephyr asked, pointing to the forbidden sky. "My wings itch. The air here is too thick." Elara knelt, smoothing his silver hair. The question broke her heart every time. Zephyr was born for the sky. His 4 wings made him faster and more agile than any dragon she had ever seen. But the Sky Citadel would kill him. They would see him as an abomination, a mutant to be dissected. "Not yet, my storm," she said softly. "The sky is cruel. They don't understand things like us." "Because of father?" Zephyr asked. He knew the story. Elara hadn't lied. He knew his father was the alpha who threw them away. "Because they are afraid," Elara corrected. "Fear makes people do terrible things." Suddenly, the ground shook. A roar echoed from the north, a sound that wasn't a dragon nor a mistwalker. It was a deep, tectonic grinding. Zephyr's eyes widened. "That's not a thunder beast. That's something old." Elara felt it too, a shift in the magical pressure. The mist swirled violently. "Hide," Elara commanded, pushing Zephyr toward a hollow tree trunk. "Do not come out until I call you." "But I can fight." "No, this is different." Elara climbed the nearest fungal tower, peering into the gloom. Through the swirling fog, she saw a shape descending from the clouds. It wasn't a hunting party, it was a single, massive dragon. His scales were obsidian, crackling with blue lightning. His wingspan was immense, blotting out the faint light from above. He was flying erratically, crashing through the trees, roaring in pain. Elara froze. She knew that roar. She knew that bioelectric signature. It was Draven. He hit the ground hard, carving a trench through the glowing ferns. He shifted back to human form, stumbling, clutching his side. He was wounded, golden dragon blood sizzling on the moss, and sticking out of his shoulder was a spear made of black crystal. He hadn't come to hunt, he was being hunted by his own kind. Elara watched him fall to his knees, gasping for air in the toxic mist. His immunity was strong, but he was wounded. He would die here within the hour if the poison got into his blood. "Let him die," a dark voice in her head whispered. "He threw you away." But then Zephyr peeked out from his hiding spot, eyes locked on the fallen man. "He looks like me," Zephyr whispered, terrified and fascinated. Elara cursed under her breath. The bond she thought was dead flared to life in her chest, agonizing and insistent. She couldn't let him die, not because she loved him, she hated him, but because he was the only one who could answer why he was being hunted by his own kind. "Stay here," Elara ordered, "and keep your wings hidden." She dropped from the tower, landing silently behind the fallen Dragon Lord. She pressed her bone dagger against his throat. "Hello, husband," she whispered.
Draven gasped, his body locking up as the cold blade pressed against his jugular. He tried to summon his lightning, but his core was empty, drained by the fight above and the toxic atmosphere below. He couldn't see his attacker through the thick purple fog, but he could smell her. It was impossible. The scent was rain, ozone, and lavender? It was the scent that had haunted his nightmares for 5 years, the scent of the mate he had murdered. "Elara," he choked out, blood bubbling on his lips. "I am dead. I am in the afterlife." "You are in the mist, Draven," said Elara coldly, stepping around to face him, "and you are bleeding on my moss." Draven blinked, his vision clearing. She stood before him, not a broken ghost, but a warrior queen. Her gray tunic was replaced by sleek, chitinous armor. Her hair was braided with glowing vines, and her eyes, they weren't the soft, pleading eyes he remembered. They were hard, predatory, and glowing with a faint violet light. You survived," Draven whispered, reaching a trembling hand toward her. "How? The drop. No one survives." Elara slapped his hand away. "I didn't survive because of you. I survived in spite of you. Why are you here, Draven? Did you come to finish the job?" "I was betrayed," Draven rasped, wincing as the black crystal spear in his shoulder pulsed with dark magic. "The Council, High Elder Vane, he staged a coup. He claimed my refusal to take a new mate was a sign of madness. They ambushed me. I fell." "The great Stormbringer brought down by politics," Elara mocked, though her eyes scanned the wound. "The crystal was a void shard. It blocked healing magic. If I pull this out, you will bleed out in seconds." "Leave me." Draven closed his eyes. "I deserve this. I killed you. This is justice." "You don't get off that easy," Elara growled. "You owe me a life, and you owe someone else an explanation." She whistled sharply. From the shadows of the jungle, shapes emerged, massive, terrifying mistwalkers. Draven flinched, expecting to be torn apart, but the beasts didn't attack. They formed a protective circle, watching Elara for commands. "Carry him," Elara ordered a massive shadow stalker. The beast gently picked up the Dragon Lord in its jaws, careful not to puncture his armor. "Where are you taking me?" Draven asked, dizzy from blood loss. "To the nest," Elara said. "If you die, the sky hunters will just come looking for the body. I can't have them finding my home." They moved deeper into the bioluminescent jungle. Draven drifted in and out of consciousness. He saw giant mushrooms that sang, rivers of neon sludge, and creatures that defied logic. But mostly he watched Elara. She moved with a power he had never sensed in the Citadel. Down here, she wasn't a groundling, she was an alpha. They reached a cave hidden behind a waterfall of purple liquid. Inside, the air was filtered, breathable. Elara ordered the beast to lay him on a bed of soft ferns. "Hold him down," she told the beast. "This is going to hurt." She grabbed the crystal spear. Without counting to 3, she yanked it out. Draven screamed, his back arching. Fresh blood sprayed. Elara immediately slapped a poultice of glowing blue mud onto the wound. The mud sizzled, cauterizing the flesh and neutralizing the void magic. Draven panted, sweat soaking his hair. You are good at that." "I've had to be," Elara said, wiping her bloody hands on a rag. "Survival down here isn't a theory." "Elara, Draven looked at her, his gray eyes full of 5 years of regret. "Every day. I saw your face every day. I tried to find a way to retrieve your body, but the council forbade it. They said the mist corrupted everything it touched." "They were right," Elara said, her voice devoid of warmth. "It corrupted my love for you. It turned it into something useful, like hate." Draven flinched. "I did it to save the Citadel, to protect the bloodline." "And how is the Citadel doing?" asked Elara dryly. "Since you are here, bleeding, I assume your sacrifice was worthless." Draven looked away, ashamed. "Vayne has turned the Citadel into a police state. He hunts anyone with impure traits. He's looking for something, an ancient power source." Suddenly, a small rock hit Draven in the chest. "You made Mom cry," a small voice said. Draven froze. He looked toward the entrance of the cave. Standing there, glaring at him with eyes that shifted like storm clouds, was a boy with silver hair and 4 distinct shimmering wings folded against his back. Draven stopped breathing. He looked at the boy, then at Elara. He saw his own chin, his own nose, Alara's lips, and he saw the wings, a mutation that was written in the ancient prophecies as the mark of the Sky King. "Draven," Draven whispered, his voice trembling so hard it shook his armor. "Who is that?" "This is Zephyr," Elara said, stepping between the Dragon Lord and the boy. "The mistake you threw away."
The silence in the cave was heavier than the stone ceiling above them. Draven stared at Zephyr, his mind trying to reconcile the impossible. A child, his child, alive in the mist for 5 years, and not just alive, evolved. The 4 wings on the boy's back were a genetic anomaly that hadn't been seen in the Sky Citadel for 1,000 years. The ancient scrolls spoke of the quad wing, the dragon shifter who would unite the sky and the earth. It was a myth, a legend used to scare naughty hatchlings. Yet here he stood, holding a stick like a sword, ready to defend his mother against the most powerful alpha in the sky. "He has 4 wings," Draven stammered, trying to sit up but groaning as his wound pulled. "Elara, do you know what this means? He is the prophecy." "I don't care about your sky myths," Elara snapped, pushing Draven back down. "I care that he eats, and I care that he is safe. Down here, wings are just extra limbs to clean." "You don't understand," Draven insisted, his eyes locked on Zephyr. "If the council knew, if Vayne knew, they wouldn't just kill him, they would dissect him. They would use his blood to fuel their longevity spells. That's why Vayne is hunting. He suspects. He sensed a power surge 5 years ago when Zephyr was born." Elara went still. "He sensed him?" "We all felt it. A shockwave of magic. We thought it was a solar flare. But Vayne, he has been obsessed with the surface anomaly ever since. That's why he ousted me. I refused to let him bomb the mist." Zephyr crept closer, his curiosity warring with his protectiveness. He poked Draven's armored leg with his stick. "You are big, but you bleed red. Mom said dragons bleed gold." "I bleed gold when I am a dragon," Draven said softly,
looking at his son with a mixture of awe and heartbreak. "Right now, I am just a man, a sorry, broken man." "Can you fly?" Zephyr asked, his own wings twitching. "Usually, not today." "I can fly," Zephyr bragged, unfurling his wings. The primary set was jet black like Draven's, but the secondary set shimmered with pearlescent colors, reflecting the mist. "I can do loops," Mom yells when I go too high. "Because there are monsters up there," Elara said sharply, "worse than the ones down here." Draven looked at Elara. "You raised him alone, in this hell." "It's not hell, it's honest. The mist kills you if you're stupid, not because of who your parents are. It's a better world than yours." "I want to help. Elara, please. The bond. I can feel it again. It never broke. I tried to deny it, but seeing you, seeing him, it's burning a hole in my chest. Let me protect you." "I don't need your protection." Elara stood up. "I need your silence. When you heal, you leave. You go back to the sky and you tell Vayne you found nothing. You tell him I died on impact. I can't go back without you. Vayne has seized the Citadel. If I return alone, he will execute me. My only chance, our only chance, is to retake the throne. And with Zephyr, with the true heir, the people would rise up. They worship the prophecy." "You want to use him as a political pawn?" Elara hissed, her hand going to her dagger. "I will cut your throat right now." "No, as a symbol," Draven pleaded. "Elara, the Citadel is dying. The magic that holds the islands up is fading. Vayne is hoarding the remaining power. If we don't stop him, the islands will fall. All of them. Millions will die, and they will crash right here, onto your jungle." Elara hesitated. She had seen debris falling more frequently lately, chunks of marble, broken statues. The sky was literally falling. "If the islands crash," Draven continued, "your mist, your monsters, your home, it will all be crushed under the weight of a dying civilization. We have to save the sky to save the earth." Zephyr looked at his mother. "Is that true? The sky will fall on us?" Elara looked at her son. She had built this life to hide him, to keep him safe. But if Draven was right, hiding was no longer an option. The two worlds were colliding. "We don't go as prisoners," Elara said coldly, "and we don't go as pawns. If we go up there, we go to conquer." Draven smiled, a weak, bloody, genuine smile. "I wouldn't have it any other way, my queen." "Don't call me that," Elara said, turning away to hide the flush on her cheeks. "Zephyr, pack your things, only what you can carry." "We are going to the sky?" Zephyr asked, vibrating with excitement. "Yes," Elara said, looking at the roof of the cave. "We are going to introduce you to your grandfather's killers." "But how?" Draven asked. "I can't fly, and you—" "I don't need wings," Elara whistled. From the depths of the cave, a low rumble answered. The ground shook as a massive shape emerged from the shadows. It was a titan beetle, the size of a small ship, with a saddle strapped to its carapace. "We fly the mist way," Elara said. "Strap in, Dragon Lord. It's going to be a bumpy ride."
The Titan beetle, named Goliath by Zephyr, was not built for speed, but for endurance. It climbed the vertical pillars of stone that connected the surface to the lower floating islands. It defied gravity with hooked claws and raw strength. Draven sat behind Elara in the saddle, Zephyr wedged securely between them. The proximity was torture for Draven. He could smell her hair, feel the warmth of her back. The mate bond was screaming at him to touch her, to claim her, to apologize 1,000 times. But he kept his hands to himself. He had lost that right. "The lower perimeter is guarded by storm drakes," Draven warned as they broke through the dense purple cloud layer. "They are feral dragons trained by Vayne." "Goliath eats drakes for breakfast," Elara said confidently. They breached the mist. The sunlight hit them like a physical hammer. It was blindingly bright, pristine, and terrifyingly open. Zephyr gasped, covering his eyes. "It's so big," the boy whispered. Above them, the Sky Citadel sprawled across a cluster of floating continents connected by bridges of light. It was beautiful, but to Elara it looked like a gilded cage. "Incoming!" Draven shouted. 3 storm drakes dove from the sun, screeching. They were sleek, blue, and fast. Elara didn't panic. She patted Goliath's shell. "Ink!" The Titan beetle turned and sprayed a massive cloud of black, sticky biological ink into the air. The drakes flew right into it. The ink gummed up their wings and blinded them. They spiraled down, screeching in confusion. "Impressive," Draven admitted. "We land at the Old Eyrie," Draven directed. "It's an abandoned outpost on the lowest island. My loyalists might be hiding there." They landed on a crumbling stone platform overgrown with sky ivy. As they dismounted, a group of armed guards rushed out. They wore the silver armor of Draven's personal legion. "Lord Draven," the captain, a scarred woman named Kale, dropped to her knee. "We thought you were dead. Vayne declared you executed for treason." "I am hard to kill," Draven said, stepping down. "Kale, look at me. Look at who I brought." Kale looked at Elara, then at Zephyr. Her eyes went wide when she saw the boy's wings. "By the stars," Kale whispered. "The quad wing." "Is it safe here?" Elara asked, scanning the perimeter. She didn't trust these skyborn. "For now," Kale said, "but Vayne's spies are everywhere. We must move you to the vault. It's lead-lined. It will hide the boy's magical signature." They were ushered into the depths of the outpost, into a massive vault designed to hold dragon gold. It was luxurious but windowless, a cage. "You stay here," Draven said to Elara. "I need to go to the High Council. I need to challenge Vayne before he solidifies his power." "You are going alone?" Elara grabbed his arm. "You are wounded." "I have to show them I am strong. If I bring Zephyr now, Vayne will kill him before I can speak. I need to set the stage. I need to invoke the right of challenge. If you die, I burn this island down." Draven smiled sadly. "I know you will." He left. The heavy vault doors closed. Elara paced the room. Zephyr was flying circles around the chandelier, delighted by the high ceiling. "Mama, this place smells like metal. I miss the moss." "I know, baby. We won't stay long." Hours passed. Alara's anxiety spiked. The bond told her Draven was in pain, emotional pain, and anger. Suddenly, the vault door hissed. It wasn't opening. Gas was pouring in. Sleeping gas, Elara realized. "Zephyr, hold your breath." She tried to smash the door, but it was reinforced with spell-forged steel. Her bone dagger chipped against it. The gas was heavy, magical. It bypassed her immunity. "Mama," Zephyr wobbled in the air and fell. Elara caught him. "Draven," she whispered, her vision blurring. "You promised." But it wasn't Draven who opened the door as she fell into darkness. It was High Elder Vayne, wearing a mask and smiling a cruel, victorious smile. "Welcome home, groundling," Vayne sneered, "and thank you for bringing me the battery." He looked at Zephyr. Elara tried to claw at him, but her body wouldn't obey her. Darkness took her. Elara woke up in chains. Not iron chains, light chains. Bands of solid, magical energy bound her wrists and ankles to a wall of white marble. She was in the Hall of Judgment, a massive amphitheater in the center of the citadel. She pulled against the bonds, but they burned her skin. She looked around frantically. "Zephyr!" "He is safe, for the moment." High Elder Vayne sat on the Alpha throne, Draven's throne. He looked ancient and manic, his eyes glowing with stolen power. In the center of the room, suspended in a sphere of glass, was Zephyr. He was awake, terrified, banging his small fists against the walls of his prison. Wires and tubes were connected to the glass, pulsing with energy, draining the magic radiating from his 4 wings. "Let him go!" Elara screamed, thrashing against the wall. "He is a child." "He is a reactor," Vayne corrected calmly.
His energy output is off the charts. With him, I can power the Citadel for another 1,000 years. I don't need the dragons anymore. I just need him." "Where is Draven?" Elara demanded. "You wouldn't let you do this." "Draven?" Vayne laughed. He gestured to the floor. Draven was kneeling in the center of the room, bound by heavier chains made of void crystal. He was battered, beaten, his armor stripped away. His mouth was gagged with a magical muzzle that prevented him from using his voice. He looked at Elara, his eyes filled with absolute devastation. He had walked into a trap. Vayne had been waiting. "Your mate tried to invoke the right," Vayne sneered, "but there are no more rights, only my will." Vayne stood up and walked to Zephyr's cage. The boy shrank back. "Fascinating biology," Vayne mused. "The mist mutated the dragon genes. It didn't weaken them, it supercharged them. If I extract his marrow, I will kill you," Draven roared through his gag, the sound muffled but furious. He strained against the void chains until his bones cracked. "Save your strength, Alpha," Vayne said dismissively. "You will watch, and then, when I am done with the boy, I will throw you both into the mist. A poetic family reunion." Elara stopped struggling. Panic was useless. Rage was fuel. She closed her eyes and reached out, not with her hands, but with her mind. She reached for the mist. They were high up, but the mist was still below them, and she was the mist walker. She felt the spores on her armor, microscopic fungal spores from the surface. Vayne hadn't stripped her armor. He was too arrogant. He thought it was just primitive trash. "Grow," she commanded the spores. The tiny specks of fungus on her tunic responded to her magic. They fed on the light chains binding her. The light was energy. The fungus ate energy. "You think you have won, Vayne," Elara said loudly, distracting him, "but you forgot one thing. The sky rests on the earth." "You think philosophy will save you, girl," Vayne turned back to her. The light chains flickered. The fungus bloomed rapidly, turning the bands of light into gray sludge. Elara snapped her wrists free. Vayne gasped. "Guards!" Elara didn't run for Vayne. She ran for Draven. She tackled the guards blocking her way, using her mist-fighting style, low, brutal, aiming for the joints. She snatched a spear from a fallen guard and smashed the lock on Draven's muzzle. It shattered. Draven took a deep breath, and then he roared. It was the dragon's voice, amplified by pure, unadulterated rage. The sonic boom shattered the windows of the hall. It knocked Vayne off his feet. It cracked the glass sphere holding Zephyr. "My son!" Draven bellowed, shifting into his partial form, wings exploding from his back, scales covering his arms. He tore the void chains from the wall, ignoring the pain. He launched himself at Vayne. Vayne summoned a shield of light, but Draven punched through it with a fist made of lightning. He grabbed the elder by the throat and slammed him into the throne. "You touched him," Draven snarled, smoke pouring from his nostrils. Elara ran to the glass sphere. It was cracked, but holding. "Zephyr, move back!" She smashed the spear butt against the crack. The glass shattered. Zephyr fell into her arms, crying. "I want to go home," Zephyr sobbed. "We are going home," Elara promised, hugging him tight. "Not yet," Draven said, holding Vayne by the neck. The other elders were cowering in the corner. The guards were hesitant to attack an enraged Alpha. He had to finish this. Suddenly, a siren blared, a deep, mechanical wail that shook the entire island. Vayne started laughing even as he choked. You are too late. The extraction process, it sent a signal." "What signal?" Elara asked, dread pooling in her stomach. To the Sky Eaters. The pure magic attracts them. They are here. A shadow fell over the hall, a shadow so big it blocked out the sun. Elara looked up through the shattered ceiling. Descending from the upper atmosphere was a creature the size of the citadel itself, a Sky Eater, a cosmic whale with teeth like mountains. It was drawn to Zephyr's power. "You doomed us all," Draven whispered, dropping Vayne.
The Sky Eater was a beast of legend, a predator that swam through the vacuum of space and descended only to feed on high concentrations of magic. It looked like a cross between a shark and a nebula, its skin shimmering with starlight, its mouth a gaping black hole. It smashed into the protective dome of the citadel. The shield flared and shattered instantly. Debris rained down. The marble columns of the hall collapsed. "Move!" Draven grabbed Elara and Zephyr, shielding them with his wings as a chunk of roof pulverized the spot where they had been standing. Vayne wasn't so lucky. The Alpha Throne crumbled under a falling pillar, burying the Elder in his own ambition. "We have to get to the ships," Draven shouted over the deafening roar of the beast. "No ships can outrun that," Elara yelled. "It eats magic. The ships run on magic engines. It will suck us dry." The Sky Eater opened its mouth. A beam of suction energy hit the city. Buildings started to lift off their foundations, disintegrating into streams of blue light that flowed into the monster's maw. Zephyr screamed, clutching his chest. "It's pulling me! It wants my wings!" His 4 wings were glowing uncontrollably. He was being dragged toward the monster, his small boots sliding on the floor. "No!" Elara grabbed him. Draven grabbed Elara. They formed a chain, anchoring the boy against the pull. "He is the beacon," Draven realized. "His power is too concentrated. We have to dampen it." "How?" "The mist," Elara shouted. "The mist blocks magic. If we get him below the cloud layer, the monster won't sense him." "That's a 5,000-foot drop," Draven yelled, "and the beast is between us and the edge." "We don't go to the edge," Elara said, her eyes wild. "We go down, through the floor." "What?" "Draven, use your lightning. Blast a hole in the foundation. We drop straight through." It was insanity. Blowing a hole in the floating island could crack the entire continent, but they had no choice. "Cover his ears," Draven ordered. He gathered every ounce of storm energy he had left. He didn't aim at the monster, he aimed at the floor. "For Aethelgard!" Draven unleashed a bolt of white lightning. It struck the marble floor with the force of a nuclear bomb. The stone vaporized, the foundation cracked. The floor gave way. They fell. Elara, Draven, and Zephyr plummeted out of the bottom of the floating city into open air. Above them, the Sky Eater roared in frustration as its meal vanished. They were free-falling. The wind tore at their clothes. "Zephyr!" Draven shouted in the air. "Open your wings, now!" "I'm scared!" the boy screamed. "You are a dragon! Fly!" Zephyr snapped his 4 wings open. They caught the air instantly. He stabilized. Draven opened his wings, but one was damaged from the fight in the hall. He spiraled, struggling to stay aloft. Elara had no wings. She was falling like a stone. "Mom!" Zephyr dove for her. "No, Zephyr, you can't carry me. You're too small. Let me fall. I'll survive the mist." "I won't let you fall again," Draven roared. He folded his damaged wings and dove. He was a missile of obsidian scales. He caught up to Elara, grabbing her waist. He snapped his wings open to break. The strain was immense. A bone in his wings snapped with a sickening crack. Draven cried out, but didn't let go. They slowed, but they were still falling too fast. "Draven, let go," Elara begged.
Your wing is broken. We'll both die on impact." "Then we die together," Draven gritted his teeth. "I am never letting you go again." They hit the mist layer. The purple clouds swallowed them. "Zephyr, follow us!" Elara screamed into the void, projecting her voice with magic. "Goliath, catch!" Below them, on a giant mushroom cap, the Titan beetle was waiting. It had sensed its mistress. It leapt into the air, catching them on its spongy back. They bounced, tumbled, and finally came to a stop. Safe. Draven lay on the beetle's back, gasping, his wing bent at a wrong angle. Elara crawled to Draven. "You idiot! You broke your wing!" she sobbed, checking him. "Worth it," he wheezed. Did we lose it?" A shadow fell over the mist. The Sky Eater hadn't stopped. It had dived into the mist. It was so hungry, so massive, that it didn't care about the poison atmosphere. It was coming for Zephyr. "It's following us," Zephyr whispered, pointing up. A massive mouth emerged from the clouds, swallowing the fog, descending like doom. "It's too big to fight," Draven said, struggling to sit up. "Elara, take Zephyr, run deep into the tunnels. I will distract it." "With a broken wing?" Elara scoffed. "No, we don't run, we fight." "How? It eats magic." "Exactly," Elara smiled, a terrifying, predatory smile. "So let's feed it something poisonous."
The Sky Eater descended through the mist like a whale sinking into the deep ocean. Its mouth was a vortex, sucking in the clouds, the magic, the air. It was blind in the fog, tracking solely by Zephyr's energy signature. "We need to overload it," Elara explained rapidly. "The mist is toxic to sky creatures. The Sky Eater filters magic, but it can't filter the corruption of the surface if it takes in too much at once." "We need a bomb," Draven understood. "A magical bomb laced with mist." "We have Zephyr," Elara said, looking at her son. "No," Draven snarled. "I will not use him as bait." "Not bait," Elara said. "A conduit. Zephyr, can you pull the mist, like you pull the shadows?" Zephyr nodded. "The mist likes me. It talks to me." "Okay, Draven, you have the raw power. I need you to pour your lightning into Zephyr. Zephyr, you take that lightning, mix it with the mist, and shoot it at the monster. Make a storm, a toxic storm." Hybrid magic, Draven realized. The prophecy. He unites sky and earth. "Do it," Elara commanded. The Sky Eater was close now. Its gravity was pulling the trees out of the ground. Draven placed his hand on Zephyr's back. "Ready, son?" "Ready," Zephyr said, his 4 wings glowing blindingly bright. Draven unleashed his remaining core energy. Blue lightning flowed into the boy. Zephyr didn't shoot it, he spun it. He gathered the purple mist around him, mixing it with the lightning, until he held a ball of swirling black and blue energy. It crackled with the sound of 1,000 hornets. "Eat this," Zephyr shouted. He threw the energy ball. It flew straight into the Sky Eater's open maw. The beast swallowed it. For a second, nothing happened. Then the beast convulsed. Beams of purple light shot out of its gills. It roared, a sound that shattered the nearby crystal formations. The toxic magic exploded inside its stomach. The pure magic it craved was spiked with the corrosive essence of the surface. It was like feeding a shark a naval mine. The Sky Eater thrashed, vomiting streams of corrupted light. It began to float upward, trying to escape the poisonous air, trying to get back to the clean vacuum of space. "It's retreating," Draven cheered. But as it turned, its massive tail swung around blindly. "Look out!" Elara pushed Zephyr down. The impact was cataclysmic. The tower shattered. Goliath, the beetle, was knocked spinning into the dark. Elara, Draven, and Zephyr were thrown into the air, separated by the debris. Elara hit the ground hard, rolling through the ferns. She sat up, dazed. "Zephyr! Draven!" Silence.
The Sky Eater was gone, ascending back to the stars to die or recover, but the jungle was quiet. "Mama!" Elara ran toward the voice. She found Zephyr tangled in a vine, unhurt but scared. "Where is Dad?" They searched for an hour. They found him near the river of sludge. Draven was lying face down. A piece of the shattered mushroom tower, a sharp, calcified shard, was impaled through his chest. Elara froze. The bond went cold. "No," she whispered. She ran to him, turning him over. His eyes were open, staring at the purple canopy. His breathing was wet bubbles of blood. "Draven!" Elara pressed her hands over the wound, but the blood pumped through her fingers. "No, no, no! Onyx! Where is Onyx? I need venom!" Onyx wasn't there. The beasts had scattered during the crash. "Elara," Draven whispered, blood coating his teeth. Did he win?" "We won. You won. Just hold on." I rejected you," Draven gasped, tears mixing with the blood. "I threw you away, and you saved me. You saved us all." "Shh, save your strength. Tell Zephyr," Draven looked at the boy hovering over him. "Tell him he is the king of the sky. Tell him I am proud." Draven's hand went limp. His chest stopped moving. The Stormbringer was dead. Zephyr screamed, a sound of pure anguish that made the mist recoil. His 4 wings flared, turning white-hot. "Fix him!" Zephyr yelled at Elara. "You fix everything! Fix him!" "I can't," Elara wept, hugging the boy. "No," Zephyr pulled away. The mist keeps things. It keeps you." The boy placed his hands on his father's chest. "Zephyr, what are you doing?" Zephyr whispered, his eyes turning entirely black. "I am the eclipse. I bind the shadow to the soul." He wasn't using healing magic. He was using necromancy, the darkest, oldest magic of the mist, the magic that animated the mist walkers. "Zephyr, stop! That is forbidden!" Elara tried to pull him away. "He is not leaving," Zephyr shouted. A pulse of black energy shot from the boy's hands into Draven's body. The ground shook. The shadows and the jungle rushed toward the body, diving into the wound, stitching the flesh with darkness. Draven gasped, a horrible, ragged intake of air. His eyes flew open, but they weren't gray anymore. They were violet. He sat up, the shard falling from his chest. The wound was gone, replaced by a scar that looked like black lightning. He looked at Elara. He looked at Zephyr. I touched my chest." Draven touched his chest. "I was cold, and then you pulled me back." He wasn't just a dragon anymore. He was something else. A mist dragon. Undead? No. Reborn. Elara stared at her son. Zephyr collapsed, exhausted, into her arms. She looked at Draven, who was flexing his hand, shadows curling around his fingers. They had cheated death, but Elara knew the cost of dark magic. The Draven who woke up wasn't exactly the Draven who died, but as he looked at her with those glowing violet eyes, full of love and confusion, she realized she didn't care. "Welcome back," she whispered. Draven's resurrection changed everything. He was stronger, faster, and connected to the mist in a way even Elara wasn't. He didn't need to breathe. He could see in the dark. And his wings? His wings had regenerated, but they were no longer made of feathers and scales. They were made of solidified shadow and bone. "I feel hungry," Draven admitted, sitting by the fire, "but not for food, for magic." "The mist sustains you now," Elara explained, bandaging Zephyr's scraped knee. "You are part of the ecosystem." Word of the Sky Eater's defeat spread, not just in the mist, but in the sky. Debris from the Citadel started raining down, not ruins, but drop pods, escape pods. The Citadel was falling apart. Without Vayne, dead, and the energy reserves, eaten. The magic holding the islands up was failing. The Skyborn were fleeing. "They are coming down," Draven said, looking up. "Thousands of them." "Let them come," Elara said. "We have room." "They will try to conquer us," Draven warned. "It is their nature." "They can try," Zephyr said, roasting a mushroom on a stick. "I have 4 wings. Dad is a zombie dragon. Mom is the queen of monsters. I think we win." Draven laughed, a sound that was deeper, raspier than before. "Zombie dragon. I like it." The first ships landed in the jungle clearing. They were filled with terrified civilians, dragon shifters who had lost their wings in the atmospheric pressure change, and former guards. They expected hell. They expected monsters to eat them. Instead, they found a city. Elara had been busy. She used the Titan beetles to carve homes out of the giant fungal trees. She used glowing crystals to light the streets. She built a sanctuary. When the refugees stepped out, coughing in the mist, Elara was there to meet them. She wore her armor. Draven stood at her right hand, a shadow guard. Zephyr flew above them. "Welcome to the surface," Elara announced. "The air is toxic until you adapt. Drink the blue sap, it will help." A former council member stepped forward. You are the groundling, the one Draven killed. "I am Elara, and this is my kingdom. If you want to live here, you follow my laws." "And what are your laws?" 1. No wings above the trees. It attracts predators. 2. We share food. 3. No one is thrown away. Ever. The refugees looked at the ruins of their floating paradise burning in the sky above. They looked at the lush, strange, dangerous world below. They knelt. Over the next month, the integration was difficult but steady. The Skyborn learned to hunt mushrooms instead of cloud whales. They learned that being wingless wasn't a curse down here, it was practical. Draven took charge of the defense. He trained the Skyborn warriors to fight alongside the Mistwalkers. It was a terrifyingly effective army. But the real test came when the wreckage of the Citadel finally crashed. It was a massive impact, miles to the north. The shockwave flattened trees. "That was the vault," Draven said, sensing the energy. "Vane's personal vault. There are artifacts in there that could destroy us if they leak." "We need to secure it," Elara said. They took a team. Draven, Elara, Zephyr, and a squad of mixed Skyborn and Mistwalkers. They reached the crash site. The vault was cracked open. Inside, they found something alive. Not Vane, he was dust. But in a stasis pod, miraculously intact, was a girl. She had no wings, but she had scales covering her entire body. A throwback, a mutant. "Another one," Elara whispered, looking at the girl. "Another mistake they hid away." "She's like me," Zephyr said, touching the glass. "Different." "Wake her up," Elara ordered. They freed the girl. She was terrified, hissing, spitting acid. "Peace," Draven said, stepping forward. His shadow presence calmed her instantly. "You are safe." "Who are you?" the girl asked. "We are the Rejects, and we are building an empire." Draven's resurrection changed everything. He was stronger, faster, and connected to the mist in a way even Elara wasn't. He didn't need to breathe. He could see in the dark. And his wings? His wings had regenerated, but they were no longer made of feathers and scales. They were made of solidified shadow and bone. "I feel hungry," Draven admitted, sitting by the fire, "but not for food, for magic." "The mist sustains you now," Elara explained, bandaging Zephyr's scraped knee. "You are part of the ecosystem." Word of the Sky Eater's defeat spread, not just in the mist, but in the sky. Debris from the Citadel started raining down, not ruins, but drop pods, escape pods. The Citadel was falling apart. Without Vane, dead, and the energy reserves, eaten, the magic holding the islands up was failing. The Skyborn were fleeing. "They are coming down," Draven said, looking up. "Thousands of them." "Let them come," Elara said. "We have room." "They will try to conquer us," Draven warned. "It is their nature." "They can try," Zephyr said, roasting a mushroom on a stick. "I have 4 wings. Dad is a zombie dragon, Mom is the queen of monsters. I think we win." Draven laughed, a sound that was deeper, raspier than before. "Zombie dragon, I like it." The first ships landed in the jungle clearing. They were filled with terrified civilians, dragon shifters who had lost their wings in the atmospheric pressure change, and former guards. They expected hell. They expected monsters to eat them. Instead, they found a city. Elara had been busy. She used the titan beetles to carve homes out of the giant fungal trees. She used glowing crystals to light the streets. She built a sanctuary. When the refugees stepped out, coughing in the mist, Elara was there to meet them. She wore her armor. Draven stood at her right hand, a shadow guard. Zephyr flew above them. "Welcome to the surface," Elara announced. "The air is toxic until you adapt. Drink the blue sap, it will help." A former council member stepped forward. You are the groundling, the one Draven killed. I am Elara, and this is my kingdom. If you want to live here, you follow my laws." "And what are your laws?" 1. No wings above the trees. It attracts predators. 2. We share food. 3. No one is thrown away, ever. The refugees looked at the ruins of their floating paradise burning in the sky above. They looked at the lush, strange, dangerous world below. They knelt. Over the next month, the integration was difficult but steady. The Skyborn learned to hunt mushrooms instead of cloud whales. They learned that being wingless wasn't a curse down here, it was practical. Draven took charge of the defense. He trained the Skyborn warriors to fight alongside the Mistwalkers. It was a terrifyingly effective army. But the real test came when the wreckage of the Citadel finally crashed. It was a massive impact, miles to the north. The shockwave flattened trees. "That was the vault," Draven said, sensing the energy. "Vane's personal vault. There are artifacts in there that could destroy us if they leak." "We need to secure it," Elara said. They took a team. Draven, Elara, Zephyr, and a squad of mixed Skyborn and Mistwalkers. They reached the crash site. The vault was cracked open. Inside, they found something alive. Not Vane, he was dust. But in a stasis pod, miraculously intact, was a girl. She had no wings, but she had scales covering her entire body. A throwback, a mutant. "Another one," Elara whispered, looking at the girl. "Another mistake they hid away." "She's like me," Zephyr said, touching the glass. "Different." "Wake her up," Elara ordered. They freed the girl. She was terrified, hissing, spitting acid. "Peace," Draven said, stepping forward. His shadow presence calmed her instantly. "You are safe." "Who are you?" the girl asked. "We are the rejects, and we are building an empire."